放了啊 ，3, 2, 1。Hey Patrick, did you see our intro? I just want to confirm that. Okay. Hey, hello everybody. This is September 17th, Tuesday, 2020. And when you're going to see the show, it's going to be 18th. So first of all, hello everybody all over the world. This is for our English audience only for this. Li-Meng's new paper claimed this virus was man-made. We're going to tell you the truth about that and what we think about that. So welcome our co-host, Patrick. How are you?
Hello, William. Hello, everyone.
Yep. Hey, so we just did 1 hour rehearsal on this, so it's totally wasted, but we're going to start this very briefly, and we're going to talk very quickly on that. So did you hear about the news about Li-Meng published her new paper on this virus?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, from our background, because we used to follow Miles Guo and Steve Bannon on his Rule of Law Foundation on his claim on take down the CCP. We know the history and background about that, and we know exactly what happened when on Luda's channel, and he's being the propaganda arm for Miles Guo, for this woman.
We actually funded this paper.
Oh, really? Yes. We donated our hard-earned cash. $9.99, my one. I don't know how much you do, probably 10 times more than mine. All right. But that's, for us, we know the truth is a financial fraud. They did nothing for these 3 years, like to give Chinese people democracy and fight down the totalitarian regime, CCP. They just like claim they did, right? So what do you know about Li-Meng? Patrick?
My first impression when she came out is that she is not totally honest about her credential. And I think that's very important because she has a master degree of medicine in China, which is different from a medical doctor or MD in the outside world, which is okay. However, she and the people around her seems to be eagerly making an impression that she is a MD.
Right.
Second, we can find in public record that her PhD is in ophthalmology, which is the science of eyes, right? But she seems to claim that she is a virus specialist by training. I do not think that's true. So that puts a big question mark on her credibility and everything she says.
True. Yeah. So I some of us did contact the labs in Hong Kong, so confirm her credentials, right? So the feedback, unofficial feedback from one of the staffs working there is, she's a postdoc in Hong Kong University, and didn't close her major, but the thing is she was hired by this lab because she has experience on handling animals, and also her Nature published paper also proved that she found a model, or not her team, she's a first author, one of the 3 first authors, right? So her paper shows that she used a golden hamster and as a model to test this virus on their body to monitor their symptoms and know them down. And her conclusion is this model works for COVID-19, for which is like, golden hamster. This animal models
Yeah,
also prove that. Yeah.
that sounds like legit research, and I'm sure it's valuable, but
Right.
still, that doesn't say anything about her being a virus expert.
Yep. That yeah doesn't mean she's one of the top virologists, like as she claims, right? Okay, this is the cover page of her paper, right? So unusual features of SARS-CoV-2 genome suggesting sophisticated laboratory modification rather than natural elevation and deletion and its portable, synthetic route. Okay, so very strange, right? So she's the first author, or maybe did okay. She's on the top of the list of the authors, right? So the other people, right? We can't find their names with their titles, right? With PhD, right? So I did search that, nothing come up. So that means they have been using fake names. That's fine, for us, because they claim they tried to take down CCP, and other thing is they never have anything valuable on the internet, right? So publish anything, their credentials couldn't be checked, correct?
Mm-hmm. The
Yep.
mystery deepens.
Yeah. And I know one of them may use fake names because we used to work together with him in one of these, what was it called? Volunteer group for making like posters for Steve Bannon and the Miles Squad, right? And then I think I even made a poster for her, by myself. But this guy used to work with us in the same group, right? But that's not his name. His family name may be accurate, but we know he's not a PhD in any virologist related field. Maybe, I don't know, not even medical related field. Maybe in materials and stuff.
And
if I
she
recall
is
it
not
correctly.
a MD. She's not a board certified medicine
Yeah.
doctor of medicine. She's not.
Yeah. So I'm talking about this Jie Guan guy here.
Okay.
So I don't think it's a PhD in any medical related field, right? So in majors and stuff, I think he started like material and stuff. That's definitely not his real name. And also the foundation which are supporting this is Rule of Law Society and Rule of Law Foundation. Patrick, you want to add something on those two foundations? Apart from
Right.
yeah.
Typically, in a paper, you want to put affiliation. And
Yep.
in this type of a scientific biology research paper, the affiliation, because you cannot write this kind of paper in your garage or in your room. So it's usually affiliated with a university, a hospital, or research institute. Now, it's really strange to be sponsored or by rule of law foundations or society, because we know now it has been a financial scam being investigated.
Yep.
So that's not right either.
I know. And Steve Bannon was the chairman, right? So before the day, at the day, he was arrested, right? So, and all right, okay. So
He's a busy man.
yeah, another thing is this article, this paper has 111 references, but only a very few of them are peer-reviewed papers. Most of the preprints from the internet. What do you find that strange, Patrick?
That is very strange. That is also not a good evidence that this is a serious research paper.
Yep. And some of them are news links, and also there's a LinkedIn. But I don't know preprints. I don't know, are they qualified for preprints? I don't know. So
I wouldn't write any paper using this as a reference. That's not helping the credibility.
Yeah. And also there's somebody's CV on them. So academic CV, and to prove they're working with CCP, I don't think they can prove anything on their CV. If they can prove why they put the things on their CV, put the evidence on their CV, right? So okay, that's the main structure. So her paper has like two sections. One is her points, right? Her assumptions on why this is lab made. The second part is this experimental plan never been executed, saying she can make this virus in 6 months, right, Patrick?
Good luck.
All right, that's the only thing. Okay, even if she starts, right? Even if she starts, okay.
What we will hear other researchers,
Mhm.
how other researchers think about that plan.
Right. Okay. I know it's the second time you're reading this because we've been doing rehearsals. So, Patrick, let's go to the next page. So, just on that day, she published her paper. There's a statement from Lancet, but this is a coincidence, nothing to do with her publications, right? So they feel like the scientific field, they feel like there's must be a stop on those kind of like a conspiracy theories regarding the origin of these viruses, right? So, do you mind reading the third paragraph for us?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
The origins of SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes the COVID-19 disease,
Mhm.
are yet to be definitively determined.
Mhm.
But the evidence to date supports the view that SARS-CoV-2 is a naturally occurring virus
Mhm.
rather than the result of laboratory creation and release.
Mhm.
The possibility of laboratory involvement in the origins of the pandemics
Mhm.
should be examined with scientific rigor and thoroughness,
Mhm.
and with open scientific collaboration.
Right.
It is extremely important that the research into the origins of SARS-CoV-2
Mhm.
should proceed expeditiously
Yep.
and in a scientific and objective way that is unhindered by geopolitical agendas and
Mhm.
misinformation. The origins of the virus must be understood, both to help end the current pandemic and to prevent the next one. Baseless and uninformed allegations and the conspiracy theories
Mhm.
that are unbacked by evidence are detrimental to this cause.
Yeah, so I think the scientists are realizing though, so there are too much rumors regarding this, so they're gonna put a stop on that. So and also their times are valuable to the human world, right? Saying they're gonna work on how to develop a vaccine, how to stop this virus and stuff like that. So maybe they put a statement together to on how to address how to stop wasting their time explaining this, and then all this conspiracy theories like what people want fame and fortune and money from that, so they want to put a stop on that. That's why they issued this statement. Also, this is followed up by a task force who's gonna lead the research on is there a leakage in this P4 lab. So people are taking actions, the scientific field, right? Okay, so
Mhm.
that's the purpose of this statement, and it's backed up by UN. I think. All right, not everybody, even the UN, everybody is being bored by the CCP. I don't believe so. But what do you
I
think?
don't think so.
All right, okay. So the structure, the basis, because some background knowledge we need to know. The basic structure of coronavirus, and you can see here, it has a cell, it has a spikes right on the surface. That's the most important thing on her paper. Now, also why?
Well, it's a virus, so
Yeah.
there should be no cell, quote unquote cell, right?
Oh, sure, sure. Yeah, yes, shell, and
It's a
that's what I'm.
structure.
Okay.
It's a shell
Yeah,
or a
yeah.
structure.
Yeah. Okay. One of her claims we did talk before, which is like E protein, which on the surface of this virus contains only 0.8% of the whole genome sequence, right? So one of her claims she on her paper is that she's saying this E protein is identical to the Zhoushan virus. So that's one of the reasons why she thinks it's made from Zhoushan virus. But the thing is, this thing contains only a small part in this huge genome sequence, which I think is there are 30,000 of them in total. This E protein only contains about 0.8% of it. What about the rest, right? So Dr. Li-Meng, yeah, you have to answer the question. And also, different scientists are giving the same opinion on this kind of thing as well, right? So why is it impossible to modify this? We're going to talk later on that. Another important thing is spike on the surface of that. This leads to another terminology called furin cleavage, right? Which is the two parts on these spikes. We can explain later, but right now I just want to give you a rough idea how this virus looks like in their structure. All right, Patrick, anything to add on this? Nope. Yeah, well, yes.
Mm. Nice color.
All right. Okay, Patrick is humorous. All right, okay. So let's start. How our scientists because we get tips from these scientists who knows Li-Meng Yan, right? One of the top of the field, right? And I trust his word, so that's why I use his point. We made this is the fourth episode already. So if you want to go back to the history and look at how he reviewed her lies about her former claims on that, you can watch our show. Episode 1, 2, and 3 English ones. We edited the English version for you. The links will be down in the description. You can catch up on that. So let's start that. So Yan's paper has no peer review. That's one of the obvious, like everybody can see, right? So dear William, this is not a peer-reviewed publication. In essence, this is an article without being examined by any scientists. Patrick, what do you think about this?
I think that's a very important point. The body of science knowledge is built by cross-examination and peer-reviewed publications, so far as we know. So although right now, to speed up the research work, there are depositories that allow people to send in or upload their writings, but that is not a peer-reviewed paper, and that should be treated as such.
Yeah. And she claimed that it's not worth peer reviewing because the whole scientific world on virology has been bought by CCP. Do you believe that claim?
Then why bother doing anything at all, right?
Well, that's why she's a hero, right? She claims like I'm the only one, telling you the truth, stuff like tell you the outbreak in China, she's the first one, but I proved it in our previous show before. She's not. Somebody did it on live TV in Hong Kong on New Year's Eve 2019, and he's still okay. He works in that Hong Kong university. He's an expert on virology. Everybody knows him. He's okay. But why you have to flee the country to claim you the victim of, this suppression? You didn't even do anything in January. So, okay.
2 words. Political asylum?
Right, maybe. Okay, maybe. All right. So you want a freedom world? Okay, come to the U.S. and just stop. The first thing you have to do is being honest. All right. Okay, stop making lies. All right. Let's continue. All right. For the first part of their article, many of their points were discussed in our previous communications. Yeah, I've been emailed back and forth with this scientist. Okay, and yes, we did make 3 episodes before already. You can watch that down below. Okay, so I want to talk about the points similar to what we talked about before, but from other scientists, Patrick. So I want to start with Anderson. With Christian Anderson, as a professor from Columbia University, and he wrote these papers, "The Proximal Origin of SARS-CoV-2" in March 2020 this year, and Yan Li-Meng used his essay to criticize this idea, and that's the major point of the first paragraph. The first part of the of her paper, and she even showed this guy's Christian's work was influenced by the CCP, right? So I want to show you how he responded on that. Patrick, let me just give me 1 sec. Let me put up his tweet. Okay. So what he thinks. So remember, Christian believes this thing is natural, right? It's from nature. It's not man-made, right? That's his comment on that. A few comments on the lack of scientific merits on Yan's report is non-scientific and false, cherry-picking data and ignoring data disproving their hypothesis. It is using technical languages that's impossible to decode for non-experts. Poppycock dressed up as a scientist. Okay, I'll focus on scientific claims as a connection of the author to Steve Bannon and other political operatives have already been covered. All right, so he knows, right?
Going down really fast.
Sorry, he knows who's behind this. So SARS-CoV-2 was created using ZC45 and ZSC21. That's a major claim that Yan claims on her paper. Bat coronaviruses. This simply can't be true. There are more than 3,500 nucleotides different between SARS-CoV-2 and these viruses. All right, so this is a major point we did talk about before in our episode 1, and also other scientists we're going to show you later also agree with that. Even the one agrees this was man-made, right? Okay, we're going to show you. Patrick going to show you later. Okay, the report ignores all the recent coronavirus data from pangolin and bats. Had this been included, this data, the data would have invalidated all the mysterious homology findings in the report as they related to matrix protein of 8 receptor binding domain, etc. So Yan claims all these recent found bat viruses and also pangolins ones are faked. Someone tapped up in a lab, in a computer, on a computer, right? So I'll show you the evidence for that later. Okay, our scientists.
Very serious allegation.
Yeah. Against that, okay, not supporting that. Okay, smoking gun in the form of restriction sites. Okay, so this is a thing, bit technical. So basically, what he means that if we want to clone something, you're gonna use restriction sites to cut off, like it's like a molecule Caesar, to cut off some part and add on another part, right? So you're gonna leave a mark and stuff like that. This is not true, right? Okay, these sites are not unique, are all present in genomes ignored by the authors. RATG13 and expect to be present by random chance. None of this would have been used for cloning. All right, so Yan thinks these are medical Caesars the lab's been using. That's why they left a mark. So all our evidence show you that's not true. All right. Blueprints for how to make SARS-CoV-2. This is related to her part 2. She thinks she's the only one knows how to remake this virus, even if she had the backbones from China, if they had permission to give her. But this paper shows here, instead of following the absurd recipe for creating SARS-CoV-2 described in the report, here's how one could actually do it. So there's some publications already about that. Patrick, what do you think?
Well, you can see that how a serious researcher, scientist, point out that question the shortcoming of her writing one by one and very thoroughly. Yeah.
And she also claims on her paper that this author, Christian Andersen, her paper, proximal origin paper authored are conflicted. They have like conflict of interest. But well, the author claimed is not correct. My lab has never received fundings from China. We have no collaborations with Chinese investigators. I have no financial interest in China. All our analyses are scientific and unbiased. All right, so that's his claim. All right, remember, he thinks the virus, he has paper to prove that virus from nature, right? So that's his point of view on the paper. So the next one will be Alina Cheng, Patrick. You're going to be doing this for us. And she's a postdoc from MIT. She thinks, her beliefs were these viruses were made from a lab. She has questioned, also published a paper. Send a paper for peer review for that. Okay, Patrick, if you want to start, I'll add in my points. Okay, cool.
Okay, so here we will see Alina. She also believes that this may be man-made. However, she has some very valid question on Yan's report. So we will see from another point of view, still questioning Yan's credibility. Okay, Yan's report makes 3 claims. 1, SARS-2 is similar to the Zhoushan viruses, isolated and studied by Chinese military labs. 2, the receptor binding motif of a spike was genetically manipulated. 3, the infamous S1, S2 furin cleavage site, FCS, was artificially inserted. The underlying premise of claim 1 is that the other more closely related SARS-2-like viruses suffer from debilitating integrity issues. RATG13 obfuscation of source and the links to SARS-like cases, sample processing plus sequencing, downstream experiments.
Question mark.
GD pangolin cough,
Yep.
the one virus with SARS-2-like receptor binding domain. Please see our preprint, which has been under editorial review for 16 weeks, but we think we can see the light at the end of the tunnel now.
Okay, that's
You
how
want to
she.
add something?
Yeah, that's how she shows. Like, if you have a question, so you have a doubt about, you have a question, relating. You have a. Okay, my brain stopped working now. So that shows that's a proper channel, you can send your papers for review if you criticize the idea of this virus from nature, right? So she's
Absolutely.
proving that she's doing that. So she's waiting for the results, right? Why can't you, Li-Meng Yan, right? So, like, she also thinks this thing is man-made, right? So why she's not afraid of suppression from the whole scientific world, which were bought by the CCP, but you didn't even bother doing that. Right? Okay. Patrick?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, 16 weeks for review is not particularly long. It's kind of normal. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, going back to Alina.
Okay.
Due to these issues, Yan et al. Refused to incorporate any of the newly published SARS-2-like viruses in her analysis. This is a major weakness of the report that has been pointed out by numerous experts. I would argue that at least the 4991 RDRP fragment should be considered.
Yep.
Thus, I would describe the claim that RATG13 is fabricated and the claim that the SARS-2 is derived from the Zhoushan viruses published in 2018 are gut speculations by Yan, who clearly believes that SARS-2 is a product of gain-of-function research by the Chinese government.
Yeah, this point. Sorry, Patrick. This point also aligns with Christian Anderson's point. Also, aligns with our scientist, which we did the show in episode 1. You can go watch that again. Okay, continue, please.
Yes. Yep. Yeah, it's very important to keep up with recent development.
Yep.
Otherwise, you will be writing something, but the next day somebody else publishes something, then your paper is totally worthless.
Yeah.
And this is basically the case.
Yeah. Yep.
But on purpose. Okay.
I think she's busy with shopping. You know that.
My position on this, okay. I don't know. Someone should be looking into the origins of RATG13 and the GD pangolin cove. What was the sampling plus sequencing process? Are there still ways to verify these samples? The former has disintegrated. Were similar viruses discovered but not reported? What I do know, claiming SARS-2 was derived from the Zhoushan viruses that are more than 3,000 mutations different, this has destroyed the report's credibility. And more importantly, diverted attention away from RATG13 miners and the missing Wuhan virus database, and the second, the Nodal article. Okay.
Cool.
Okay, on to claim number 2. The second claim relies on the first claim being true, which is, again, its greatest weakness. Instead of just going with RBD was copied from another virus, Yan performed enzymatic gymnastics to figure out how it could have gotten into the Zhoushan virus. I have to say something about gymnastics here.
Right.
It's a brilliant use of words.
Yeah, it's very funny. Okay, cool. Very picturesque.
Gymnastics. Okay. What claim 2 kind of gets correct, and I'm paraphrasing here, is that the labs, including the WIV, have been codon optimizing spikes and swapping in RBMs to study receptor binding for over a decade. Actually, this study did introduce an ECORI site.
Yeah. Patrick, let me add on something. She knows they've been doing research and also studying on this technology, but doesn't mean they used it on here. All right. So, we rely on you to give us proof, but you didn't. You give us some conceptions, right? So we had a plan, not the things you said you experienced in that lab as a WHO agent, they have to get authorities from you to make this, right? So where is your
Yeah, this
proof?
is
Yeah, so,
a lot of hinting, right?
yeah,
And misleading
yep,
information,
right,
trying to mislead the author. Like a certain Chinese billionaire
right,
always said that he has a meeting with
yep.
important VIP, but never say who that is.
Yeah, like Mouse Squad, right?
Like,
So just say his name. So,
okay.
all right, okay.
Okay, going back to Dr. Chen.
Yeah.
But this fixation on cloning sites is irrelevant to determining whether SARS-2 was ever manipulated in the lab.
Mm-hmm.
Ralph Barrick, UNC, a longtime collaborator of Xi
Mm-hmm.
at WIV, says as much in his recent interview. We
Yep.
will skip that interview.
Yeah, let's skip
Okay.
that. It's in Spanish,
Continue.
I think. So Shi is Shi Zhengli, the bad woman in China, right? So the crimer, okay, as she claims, okay, of this virus. All right. Oh, but she's quoting her paper. Okay, that's fine. Let's go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Scientists have been able to clone coronavirus genomes seamlessly for years. They introduce cloning sites to show you that the genome has been manipulated. Another reason to retain a cloning site could be to monitor a feature,
Mm-hmm.
for example, FCS,
Mm-hmm.
that tends to be lost during cell passage.
Yeah.
Which leads us to number three.
Sorry, Patrick. Let me explain this. Maybe our audience, this is a bit technical. So the thing is, they have technology to clone this without leaving a trace, right? But Alina is saying there's a purpose if they do. If they did leave a trace, one is to make a signature saying this leave a mark so we can trace it later. Another one is they're gonna monitor the functions of this cloning does, right? So that's why the two reasons to leave a mark. But they have technologies can do this seamlessly. Li-Meng Yan, I want to ask you this question. So why you think Chinese labs is going to make a bioweapon but gonna leave evidence as a trace there? Right? So why they so stupid? Like why they want to do
Alina
this?
is pointing out that Yan or the Wuhan lab is doing a lousy job.
Yeah. So, but why? Why can't they just like eliminate the trace? They have the technology; it's available, right? So since one of the biggest crimers in the world, they must have the skills for that. Okay, cool. Sorry, Patrick, continue, please.
Okay, which leads us to number three, the FCS, the most highly debated feature of SARS-2. Why? SARS-2 is the only SARS family virus out of dozens, maybe 100 sampled, with an S1, S2 FCS. The FCS has been actively researched, even in SARS-1 and MERS, found to enhance virus tropism and infectivity. Again, the fixation on whether there is a cloning site surrounding the FCS is unhelpful. The underlying thought here is that a lab could have been interested enough to follow up on earlier studies of introducing an FCS into SARS virus to see how it enhanced the pathogenicity.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we can skip this
the
one.
next one. The rest. The rest of Yan's report delineates a cloning plan for creating the SARS-2 genome, which unfortunately obscures critical observations with the terrible restriction cloning strategy and the desperation of somehow deriving SARS-2 from the Zhoushan virus.
All right. Okay. Sorry. I have to. I can't help but laugh. Right. So she's a postdoc from MIT. She believes this virus was man-made. She also wrote a paper being peer-reviewed. Even people share same ideas with you, Dr. Yan, doesn't think you did a good job on this paper, right? Is that my feeling?
I think Lina is saying that Yan is desperate.
Yep. Okay. She's desperate to prove a point that she thinks is true, but did a lousy job for that, right?
She sounds desperate of many things now, Dr. Yan.
Yeah, okay. So this is a quote from her paper directly. I just made it here about furin cleavage. I don't want to read through her paper, but you can take a look. It's available online about this. So these two new Nature paper. One was written by Christian Anderson. We just showed her his point, right? So he's saying this cleavage in sites, 4 of them are random selection from nature, right? It's not man-made. You can go read about his Nature paper. And also there's another one saying the lineage of alpha and beta coronaviruses they found in nature and how they predict where they're gonna find the similar the similar genome sequence inside another species. So very interesting read. I suggest you to read it before. I'll link it down below in the description. As a matter of time, we're not showing it right now, but there is something that Yan didn't know. All right, about it. She didn't even read through the whole scientific papers before she came up with this idea. Okay, let's go to the next one. Echo RI and the BSTEII. So this is a 2 residues site, and she claimed that even if you do molecular cloning, you're gonna leave a residue. So that proves that leaves a mark, shows is evident this thing is man-made. But is it true, Patrick? We're gonna see in our scientist's point of view in the later section. All right. So this is the quotation from her papers too. You can take a read of yourself. But the keywords are these two: EcoRI and the BSTEII. All right. So molecular. How do you say that? Molecular.
Molecular.
Molecular. Sorry.
Molecular cloning.
Yeah. I'm not even that scientific. It's getting late.
You're doing fine.
Right. Okay. It's getting late. All right. Okay. So let's see. What are they? All right. This is our scientist. I'll start properly, Patrick, then you can continue after this. Pangolin genome sequence 1. The only thing which is new here is about EcoRI and the best EI sites in the viral sequences. Here are my comments. Patrick, do you want to continue from here? The second
Number one.
Number two.
As clearly indicated by the authors, Dr. Shi and Dr. Li did not indicate the cloning methods in their previous studies. How can the authors assume they used such method to modify the sequences? Did they ever confirm this with Drs. Shi and Li?
Yep. So basically, our scientist says, how do you know they clone this, right? Why they leave a mark? The question Alina asked before, right? They didn't even say they cloned this in their lab, but how do you know? Even if you do, show some evidence, right? It's like a experimental log, stuff that you have in your possession. You can show us on which day, why they want to use this method, what's the outcome of that. You have to show that kind of thing to be called an evidence, right? Not just your assumption. Even them, like Dr. Shi and Dr. Li, they are not sure whether they use this or not.
In
right?
this type of a paper, you really need to describe your experimental setup or method to some degree. Right? But in this paper, there really is a serious lacking of those details. And if Yan is presenting her own work, there has to be original data record. We haven't seen any of those.
No, just a theory. Okay, so that's
her word.
Aligns with her medical was a qualification as well. She never done any real her credentials, hospital work. No, nothing. She's not a qualified doctor. She has a master degree in medical. All right, okay, that in China doesn't qualify you automatically as a doctor, as MD, but she's been using these abbreviations everywhere. Even on these papers is MD. That stands for master degree. Okay, not medical doctor.
Right.
All right. Okay. All right, let's continue. Patrick, you
Number 2.
Yep.
The others mentioned that all the recent bat coronavirus, RATG13 and RMYN02, and the pangolin coronavirus sequences are fake. But these sequences were generated from different groups of people. It would be highly unlikely to have all these people work together and generate fake sequences. The authors cannot completely ignore these sequences because they do not support their hypothesis. Remember, these are all peer-reviewed articles.
Okay, so I think in Dr. Yan and Miles Guo and Steve Bannon's world, the whole United Nations are bought by the CCP. I don't know how much, but every
Yes.
single one of them, right? Even Lancet, Nature, the Science, all the well-known resounding publications were bought by CCP. Nobody gonna accept their paper. That's why she didn't.
Everyone's out there to get them.
Yeah, and they didn't even bother. That's why Yan didn't even bother send it to them for peer review. All right, okay. So
Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna show some proof next. Okay, cool. Carry on, please.
Number 3.
Mhm.
Okay. If the authors care to study the pangolin sequences, both ECORI and the BSTII sites can be found in these pangolin viruses. In addition, there are at least 2 bad SARS-like coronaviruses, LYRA11 and BTKY72, have a BSTEI site at the corresponding region. These 2 virus samples were collected from wild bats a long time ago, before 2011. These findings contradict to their claims that these sites cannot be found in other beta coronaviruses.
Right. Okay. This is a very strong comments on your paper or your experience and skills, Dr. Yan. All right. Where were you into 2011? You still studying your MD in this medical college in China. Okay, that shows the lack of experience and knowledge you in this field. Okay, please just stop making lies. If you don't know, be honest. If you know some truths, tell the FBI, review their truths, let them review their truth, whether you qualified to be a whistleblower or not. Just stop making gut feeling claims, right, on this, because you don't have this experience. Our scientists and the others, they did the study thoroughly, right? And also they start the game way before you. They know these viruses exist, has the similar sites you claim that's unique to SARS-CoV-2, but that's simply not true, right? Patrick, you want to add on something here?
If Dr. Yan wants to save the world, stop going to TV and war room.
Yeah.
Read some papers.
Yeah, and start applying for a researcher job, right? And stuff like that. Okay.
Read some recent papers.
Yeah. All right. So, Patrick, let's continue to the last 2 pages. Okay.
Well, the last page is here. For the second part of the article, it is just technical part.
Sorry, Patrick. Let's go back to one more page. There are 2 links we're gonna link down.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Pangolin virus sequence. Yeah, here are 2 links of the previously collected pangolin virus example.
Yeah, by 2 independent groups, okay, managed to capture them from wilderness, right? And also these are frozen samples, right? Not computer typed up virus sequence in a lab, right? They have the real thing, Dr. Yan. Just get to know it. Don't ignore this, right? Those samples are here.
Apparently, these 2 independent groups were already bought by CCP back in 2017.
Right, and they've been planning this probably since the beginning of our civilization. All right, okay. Cool. Yes. All right. Let's go to the last page, then we can conclude our show. Thanks, Patrick. Okay.
Yeah, the final conclusion of our expert is that for the second part of the article, it is just a technical part of an experimental plan. The design is based on so many assumptions mentioned in the first part. I don't see any point in talking about it.
Yep.
Best regard.
Okay. Thank you very much. So our science knows Li-Meng, yeah, remember that fact. And also his point aligns with the other 2 which I showed you before, right? They working independently in different parts of the world, right? So are they all bought from the CCP? Show us some evidence, Dr. Yan, if you know, right? Miles Guo, Bannon, show us some evidence. Okay, show to the public. Stop lying to the American publics on TV. That's shame, isn't it, Patrick?
It is.
All right. Okay. That concludes our show. Hope you get a picture of what Dr. Yan is. So below her, I don't know, glamorous dressing and her expensive necklace is what she really is. I leave that question to you, our audience, our dear audience. But it's getting late here. We're going to say goodbye. Talk to you next time. Patrick, very honored to have you here.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you, William, and thanks to all the audience.
Okay. Good night. Bye.
Good night.